Duke. It's your host, Andre Dawkins. We'll be on the Field of 68 podcast network. I'm incredibly excited to get this podcast going. If you are too, please hit the like and subscribe button, leave a review, and let us know what you think. You can find me on Twitter at Dre_Dawkins. And you can check out our other podcasts at the Field of 68 on Twitter and thefieldof68.com. A little update on me and what I'm doing out in Oklahoma. My wife and I are living out here. Retired from the game of basketball due to injuries. Now working in real estate, and thought I'd get a podcast started. So super excited to begin this journey, and hope you're excited too.
Now that we got all that out the way, super excited to have my very first guest on the podcast. You guys all know him. 2010 National Champ, 2011 ACC Player of the Year, All-American, the People's Champ, and Honorary Mayor of Durham, Nolan Smith. What's going on, my brother? Thanks for joining.
What's up, Dre? Thanks for having me on, brother.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to take it back to the college days. Kind of talk about like what was your welcome to Duke moment? Like, you know, what was the moment you're like, yeah, this isn't high school no more. I'm at a different level.
Probably say welcome to Duke moment. I'd probably say it came probably after my first practice, and we used to practice for about 2.5 hours, hard, long, competitive. I mean, you know, our rosters back then were full of McDonald's All-Americans, so super competitive. And we finished a 2.5 hour long practice. I'm dead tired, and as I get towards the door to go into the defensive room, I hear, "Young fella, where you going, young fella?" And I look back. Johnny Dawkins is sitting there looking at me, Coach JD, like, "Nah, let's go. We ain't done yet." I'm like,
"No, we done."
I'm like, "Nah, we're done. Like, what you mean?" He's like, "Nah, let's go." He grabbed Jordan Davison, and I'm out that joint after practice, zigzagging, having to go against him one-on-one. I'm turning the ball over. It's going off my foot. I'm like, man, this is not high school anymore. That was definitely my welcome to college moment, bro.
Yeah. And people don't know now. People hear the name Jordan Davison. Jordan was a little bulldog. He did not play around. And he would give you fits. If you wasn't ready to go, he would give you fits, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And the hardest part about that was a lot of the walk-ons, they were fresh.
Oh, yeah. Like they ain't done nothing for 2 hours.
They
ready to go. They trying to get a couple of minutes out there. This time to eat. Man, mine is actually pretty similar. I remember, you know, like got down there, and that was back before you could do, you know, the practices early and stuff. So all we did, you know, we just did our lifting, did conditioning and stuff, and pickup, which was all well and good. Like, you know, I'm doing all right in pickup. So I'm like, man, this college stuff kind of easy. So then, you know, you remember we would start doing individual work, which was, you know, the 4 guys for an hour. And so, you know, I see it on the schedule. I think it was me, you, Jordan, and Kyle, maybe. Us 4. And I see it on the schedule, and it's an hour. And I'm like, an hour? They can't, you know, I mean, I can't do that much in an hour. Man, I'm telling you, about 5-10 minutes in, I'm just trying to get to the end. I'm just trying to survive. I'm not competing no more. I'm just trying to get to the end of this workout, man. I mean, we started with just full court zigzags, straight defense. You know, Wojo was running it. You know, we're gonna get our defense together today. Straight defense for an hour straight. And I mean, I remember leaving the gym like, I don't know if I can do this here, man. Like, this might not be the place for me.
At that moment, you was probably like, why did I come to college early again?
Yeah, I was like, hold on now. Everything was cool up until now. Oh, man, that was tough. Being out of college for obviously a while now, What were you most fond of, or that you missed the most? From just being a student athlete.
I think just being with your teammates, being able to hang out with your boys and either talk hoops, play video games, hang out on the weekends. Just those 4 years of college, man, they go by fast, and it's some of the best years of your lives. So, I mean, I think just everything about being a student athlete I miss, but just especially when you talk about with your teammates, those days are just some of the best. I mean, even because when you go to the NBA, it's not that.
It's much different.
It's much different. So like you have, team meals in college, which are the best meals. You go to the NBA, what's a team meal? Like
yeah.
you get to a city, and
everybody goes their own way.
You got two guys at Ruth Chris, two guys over here at Fleming's. You got two guys at this steak spot that you never even heard of, but it's an expensive spot. And then you see your guys for practice. So college, man, you just miss that camaraderie and the relationships that you have in college.
Yeah, it is a lot different, especially like on the road. Because like you said, you get to a city and you don't see, the dudes that are making, $20-30 million a year. You don't see them dudes again until shoot around maybe, or, you might see them shoot around and then, you'll see them game time. So yeah, it's definitely a lot different. Money's a little better, but, but yeah, definitely a lot different. So like for you, obviously, you played a decent amount your freshman and sophomore years, but it was for sure a leap for you your junior year. I mean, did you know going in like I got this figured out, or was it something that kind of came as the year went on? You were like, okay, I'm pretty good here.
I think I had it figured out during the ACC tournament of my sophomore year. That's when it started to click for me, and I came off a concussion injury that I suffered at the University of Maryland.
Yeah.
When I came back off of that, I kind of had time to watch the game. It's kind of slowed down for me during that time, and I was in the transition of like, am I a point guard? Am I a shooting guard? What am I? And trying to figure that out for a player sometimes is tough. And during that time, I said, you know what? Be who you are. And I was always a scorer. From high school all the way through from fifth, fourth grade, I was a scorer. So I can't come in and try and be a playmaker if that's not what I'm used to doing. So then I came back off of that injury. I just was in attack mode, but I was still able to be a smart player and make the right plays when plays were there, but attacking first. So then after that summer, another big summer back home in DC, just working on my game, which is something I always took pride in, was each year making a big jump and adding something different to my workout regimen. I knew coming back from my junior year that it was time. I knew I basically figured out who I was as a player, and it was all going to connect. And with the guys we had coming back, with you coming in, I felt very good about my role and what role I could carve out. And I was physically and mentally prepared for that, to make a huge jump from sophomore to junior year.
Yeah, I think that's a solid point for a lot of young guys. Is being aggressive and being selfish are two different things. And so kind of like you said, you're just being aggressive, but still having the wherewithal to say, okay, I got two on me now, let me get off of it. Helps the team so much. Like just being in attack mode puts so much pressure on the defense, and eventually, it opens it up for a bunch of other people, which, I was obviously a big beneficiary of, hanging out in the corner. So yeah, I appreciate it, brother.
Y'all made my assists real easy my senior year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely had shooters your senior year for sure.
Snipers, not shooters.
So speaking of that 2010 year, obviously ended with a big banner going up in the end zone of Cameron. And, you know, that being your third year, obviously my first year, I'm like, I don't know. We're just supposed to win games, I guess, and things are just supposed to go great. But obviously, you know, you went through 2 years, you know, where you didn't end up hoisting the trophy at the end of the year.
Yep.
So what was different, you know, in that 2010 year, and like, was there a feeling at the beginning like this team's pretty good, or was it just kind of something that happened? You know, we just kept winning games, and then you look up and we're playing in Indianapolis.
Nah, I think we definitely came in very confident, you know, that we had been through enough as a group, especially that senior class. You know, they had lost to VCU in the first round the year before I got there. So they had been through it. And then Kyle and myself, we had lost to Villanova in the second round, and then West Virginia in the, I think, second round. Maybe Sweet 16, maybe, I think it was, but either we had lost early.
Yeah.
So we had all had like a certain hunger and motivation. Then we had y'all coming in as young guys behind us. First of all, we knew we had to lead. It had to lead you all as the young guys on those teams. But we were very together. We were very together through all the adversity we had been through. So we felt great, and we felt like we had a team that was connected, that was going to play together, and had no personal agendas besides winning. And I mean, I know you know that. You saw it every single day. But the competitiveness that we had in practice, I mean, from the start of 5, you know, to the second 5. The second 5 was you, Seth, Mason, Miles, and Ryan Kelly. Like, versus us 5. And then the thing at the beginning, it might have been flipped because Mason and Miles, I think, were starting at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, but either way, like those 10 guys, that made our team competitive. Every single day we were tough. Like, so we felt because of that we were well groomed to make a long run into the tournament. And then once you hit the tournament, you know, the name of the game is win. And we had felt that pain of losing and being in that locker room, of losing early, being upset, whatever the case might be. Like, the NCAA tournament is a beast. I mean, like, we were battled and ready for that. We didn't want to go home early.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, as a freshman, you could definitely feel that sense of urgency, especially from the 3 seniors. Like you said, you know, those guys have been through a loss everywhere. You know, first round, second round, like they had seen it all, and they understood. You know, we got one more chance to do something real special, and you know that was their focus the whole year. And it's hard to get a team to do that. And
very,
I mean, it's tough, and that's why you see, you know, especially in the NCAA tournament, most of the teams that win, I say this all the time, are teams that have been through stuff. They have guys there who have, you know, either gotten close, or like UVA gotten embarrassed the year before, and they have these chips on their shoulders, and they get to the tournament and they know how fast it can be over with.
Fast.
Yeah. And so that's, you know, that 2010 team really had that, to where, you know, they really understood, you know, especially the older guys. Obviously I didn't know, but like, you know, the older guys really understood things can end quick. Ain't no series, ain't no, you know, we'll get them in game 2. You know, if you got less points at the end of 40 minutes, that's it.
No do-overs. I think like you said with like Virginia, them losing in the first round, for some reason they took that game for granted, you know, and they end up losing. So now you get that team coming back, basically the same roster. They don't want that feeling again. So you have that hunger that just is eating up in you heading into that tournament. So for us now with young teams every single year, that most of the team haven't been through that, we have to somehow show them videos, talk to them. But sometimes it's tough. You can say as much as you want to, you blow in the face. If they haven't experienced it, they don't know. They don't know that pain.
Yeah. And Yeah, and as a freshman, winning the whole thing is kind of like not a good thing because you're like, oh yeah, you're just gonna win 4 of these jumps and keep it moving, and that's just that ain't how it goes. So yeah, definitely learn that the hard way over the next 3 years or so. And
Hey,
so
but you had one.
yeah, no, I got one though. I got it in the bag to start it. So like for you going from you're kind of just a player, you're a guy on the team freshman, sophomore year, then you jump to becoming into this leadership role. You're one of the 5 older guys with a bunch of freshmen coming in. I mean, was there a mindset change for you, or did you talk to coach? How do you go from being a guy to being one of the guys that a guy like myself is looking up to for which way am I going here?
Nah, for me, really, it wasn't a conversation with anybody. At that point, after 2 years, everybody's kind of looking at you saying, who is he going to be? Who is he going to become? I knew who I was going to be. My trainer, Gary Lampions, knew who I was going to be. But from the minute the summer started, I mean, from the Pro-Am, from the NC Pro-Am to everything I touched that summer, I was going to kill. And one thing that I learned just being at Duke and in the culture is the best players show up every single day, no matter what it is. That's really all I wanted to do to make sure everybody knew, like, okay, yeah, he's here, he's arrived. So that was my only mission, and every single day I wanted you all to see that. I wanted you all to know that, and I mean, I know for a fact everybody knew that, and everybody was like, okay, yeah, we know who our top 3 are, right from day one.
Yeah, and that's something I definitely took notice of. And then going into my sophomore year, which was your senior year, one of the things that I did in the preseason was I was like, man, I'm just gonna follow Nolan in these running drills. I'm gonna be where Nolan is, because if I'm where Nolan is, I'm good. And so that was kind of one thing that I kept in mind. I was just like, every time we got on the line and do some running, I was finding Nolan, and I was going to be right on his heels. And so then we did the famous 10 ladder at the end of the preseason. It's just the worst.
Worst.
And they don't even have to do it no more, which is crazy.
They don't.
Anyway, don't get me started on that. So yeah, we got to the 10 ladder. I was just like, man, it's tough. It's more of a mental thing than it is a physical thing. So I was like, my focus is staying with Nolan, and we cruised through it, and I was good to go.
I remember we were talking our way through it. Come on, it's easy. It's light. Come on.
Yeah. And then by the end of it, everybody was tired, but I was good to go because I was like, I'm gonna keep it up with Nolan the whole preseason, so I'm cool. So in 2010, we won the national championship in Indianapolis, same place your dad won his national championship at Louisville. I mean, what did that mean to you to be able to really pretty much literally walk in your dad's footsteps?
Man, it was a dream come true. First of all, just to win it, but then when I put that into perspective, it was like it put life into perspective.
Yeah.
It was just like a totally different thing that hit me after the game, where the tears were coming down my face. It wasn't because we had won. It was because, wow, I just won a championship in the same city as my dad. And it's crazy when we got to Indy, like that's when I knew we were gonna win it. I think somebody from Louisville did an article about me going back to Indy, see that my dad won. I was like, okay, like this is really meant to be. Things do happen in life for a reason. Like this is really about to happen. So during the whole tournament, I carried my dad's Final Four ring with me, championship ring with me the whole tournament. I don't know if you knew that. The only person I knew was Jordan Davidson. That was my roommate. So he used to see it right there on the nightstand, starting game 1 all the way through. But, it's crazy. I don't know if you remember when Coach used to say, our story's better than theirs. I used to always feel like he was talking about me, especially once we got to Indy, and then after we won, he said it to me personally. He was like, I told you our story was better than theirs. And I was like, yeah, like Cinderella story is cool, but this is different. Like, like this is different. So, I mean, it was just a special moment to be able to do that. And yeah, I mean, I still think about it to this day.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, sports is just crazy like that. You see stories like that all the time. And, where just stuff just lines up perfectly. Even then, 5 years later, and then Quinn goes and does the same thing. Which we all know, Quinn is like a surrogate brother to you. So, I mean, that's just, yeah, I get chills and just thinking about it, man. I had to bring it up.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate Gordon for missing that half court shot.
Right.
It felt like it was in the air for so long. Oh my goodness.
So long. I mean, the shot that I really thought had the chance was the one before that one.
Oh, the fade, yeah.
Fade over Zoobs, because I mean, if you watch him now, he probably hits that shot at a high clip now.
All the time, yeah. That's one he's been working on.
Man, he's been working on
since he missed it.
Since can't believe I missed that.
I gotta knock this one down. Yeah, that game, man. That game was wild. I had no business being in that game. I was in for about 30 seconds, and I was not ready for it. 18-year-old Andre was not ready for that spot. And coach knew quick because he shaked me out there quick. Because that year, like by that time, I knew what I was doing, right? I would come in for you just before the first time out.
Yep.
You would get that minute or so, then the timeout, then you would come in for John, and then John would come back in for me.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the day for that. So I came in for you. Everything's normal. I think I missed the shot because I passed it in the Zoobs, and I was like, if he passes it back, I'm shooting. I don't care what happens. I'm just shooting. I don't know what else to do. So I went to my default. I'm shooting. And anybody who's ever shot in a football stadium, it's a little weird, especially if you don't play much. So the line of sight is a little weird. So I shot it, bricked it, came down. Dude gave me a hit in a bucket real quick. Looked over, Nolan back at the table. I said, okay, that's the end of my night. I'm going to watch the rest of this one.
I'm glad you put this championship game over here.
Yeah.
Hey,
I got the best seat in the house.
Hey, look, but don't sell yourself short. Best believe you had just did it in the arena in Houston versus Baylor, where you saved us at the end of the first half.
Yeah, and that Baylor team was probably one of the best teams we played in my 4 years, and people sleep on that team. That team was really, really good and massive.
Tweety Carter, Ekpe Udo, Lomers.
Yeah, I think either Ekpe or AC, one of them was coming off the bench.
Quincy AC, I think was. Yeah, they was tough.
And that's just, that team was really, really good, and that took a hell of an effort to get that W, especially in Texas too. So they had nothing but. Speaking of Texas, do you remember that practice before the Baylor game with the Baylor fans? Quick story. Practicing day before the Baylor game, maybe.
Yeah.
It's in Texas, so it's, not super far from Baylor. And they had a super fan there who came out to the practice, open to the public. And it's an hour-long practice. And he did not shut up the whole hour, screaming to the top of his lungs during the practice the whole hour. It was the craziest thing ever, man. I don't know how he did it. It's pretty impressive, to be honest.
It was very impressive. He had us laughing by the end of it.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to that guy. I'd love to have him on the podcast.
Oh man.
If somebody can find that guy, get him on the podcast. All right, so now you're back at Duke. Tell the people kind of about, what's your role? What do you do? What do you do now?
Yep. So I'm the director of basketball operations and player development. That position itself pretty much involves everything behind the scenes, from jerseys, dealing with Nike, team gear, team meals, working closely with academic advisor, trainers, weight trainers, weekly schedules, team schedules, player schedules, travel itineraries. Yeah, a little bit of everything. Working with the social media team. It's a lot that goes into running a program, and that's basically what the basketball operations guy does at every school. So that's the role I've been in for the last 2 years. And on top of that, I do scouting behind the scenes as well. Because obviously long term, not too long term, short term. I'm 32 years old. I want to be a head coach. So while also learning and working on my basketball stuff as well. So being in the coaches' meetings daily is also something that I enjoy and I'm part of. So it's been an amazing early journey in this coaching career back at Duke.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you could have a better place to start your coaching career. I mean, just soaking up so much knowledge. I mean, so what kind of brought you back? What was it? Was it just a point in your life where you're like, I don't want to play no more. I want to get started doing something else. I mean, what brought you back to Durham?
Injuries brought me back. I tore my ACL after 2 games in the G League. That started that season, I was overseas. Had some money issues over there. That basically led me to come home. I was just frustrated overseas with what was going on with that team. So I said, I'm going to go back to the G League. I'm going to get back in the NBA. Played 2 games, tore my ACL. And then after a full year of rehab, I tore my meniscus on both sides of my knee. So I had to have that repaired. That was after a full year. So just the mental drain that was on me after that. I mean, anybody that's had to repair an injury or rehab from an injury, it's tiring. And mentally, you have to stay strong and get through it. So to get to the full year at the end of it and have to have another surgery, it was kind of defeating. It hurt. It hurt, and it was just like, dang, like, why me? Why am I going through this? I've been so good to the game. I've been so good in life. I live the right way, like, why me? You ask all these questions. But then I was at Duke. Duke was taking care of me. Nick Potter was doing my rehab. I was in a great place and in great hands. And after that second one, Coach Jeff Capel came and was like, hey, man, we're praying for you. Take care of yourself. Since you are around, Coach was just wondering, he didn't want to push you, but if you want to start your next career, we have a position here for you as special assistant. So I took about 2 weeks just to pray on it, talk to a lot of people, think about it, and just really come to a decision. Because I knew once I jumped into the coaching business and started my next career, it was coaching. There's no going back to playing after you jump into the coaching. So I had to be all in on that decision. Couldn't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So I made that decision. I was like, look, yeah, it's time. And I always wanted to coach when I was done playing. I didn't know how early it would come. I never thought it would come at 28 years old, but it did. But I was fortunate enough to be here and be under Coach K and be learning from this great staff. So, here I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of had a similar situation. 2 surgeries, doctor saying it still didn't fix it, but, I can do 1 more, see if it fixes it. And I'm like, man, I don't know about that. You know, it's obviously a risk every time you go into the night, every time you go to sleep. And you know, I'm not trying to roll the dice that many times, man. And so I feel you. And that's kind of one of the best things about Duke, honestly, is that they will take care of you. You know, I just like you, I was doing rehab. You know, you saw me all last summer. So rehab there. You know, Jose, Nick, whole staff is, you know, is right there with willing to help, and it's one of the things that makes Duke so unique. And you know, it's why we call it the brotherhood, man, because it's not just branding; it's real life. And
Absolutely.
yeah, that's something that I don't think you can get at a lot of schools, man. Just being able to come back and access any and everything that you need. You know,
No, there's nothing like it. I mean, being on this side of it now, I'm preview to the meetings with Coach, where at the start of a lot of our meetings, Coach will ask us, "Hey, have you talked to anybody? Does anybody need any help?" And obviously, I stay in contact with basically every generation of guys, you know, from the oldest guys to the youngest guys. I'm pretty well connected with everybody, and so I normally have an answer for him, or I'll say, "Nah, Coach, everybody's good," and even the rest of the coaches like, "Nah," or I heard from Emil Jefferson, you know, this is where he's at in his career with teams, or this is where, you know, Gene Banks is at. It's what Gene's doing. Whatever it is, from old to young, Coach wants to know how everybody is doing and if there's anything he can do to help. I know for a fact that's rare for a head coach to care about every single player that's played for him. And he's had so many guys.
Yeah, it's nuts. And all at the same spot.
All at the same spot. So he could easily say, you know, I'm gonna focus on my last 10 years guys.
Yeah.
The older 30+ year guys, I ain't got time to think about y'all. No, he wants to know about the whole list.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the coolest thing, man, because, you know, he's been there, I think this is year 41 or something like that. And it's way up there. And so, you know, 40 years worth of players all have the same spot to come back to. You know, it's not like, you know, he went here and then he went there, and so, you know, I didn't go there, but like we all went to the same school, and we all have the same place to come back to. And it's really just the coolest thing ever to be a part of. And, you know, like K Academy is one of my favorite times of year. And like really good friends with guys I never played with. You know, guys that played in the 90s, you know, like Ricky Price was my guy. And it's like, it's the coolest thing, you know, to get back, you know, that week and just see everybody. And it's like, it feels like we all played on the same team, but, you know, it's 4 decades worth of guys. It's crazy.
Right. It's a family reunion for real.
Yeah, it is. It is. So for you, you know, going from a player to, you know, on the sideline, like how has it changed? You know, how has coach changed from going from coach to kind of more of a boss role?
For coach, I think coach he's calmer now than what he was with us.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's, for him, it's great. You know, because as you get into your 71, 72 years old, like, he can't be expending that much energy, even though he has the energy and he's still fiery. He still gets mad, even though he's the GOAT. And, you know, he has 5 championships and 1,000+ wins, like everything gold medals. Like, he has all that, you know, but he still has the fire. But when it comes to on every single day basis, he does not yell at these guys the way he yelled at us. And he shouldn't. He should, just for him. But that's been the biggest change that I've seen from player to this side, is just how he's able to still motivate them, but just in a different way than he did us.
Yeah, I think that's honestly, from my perspective, one of his best traits is his ability to adjust. Because he's not the same coach he was 40 years ago. He's not the same coach he was 10 years ago.
Yep.
And, next year he won't be the same coach he is this year. And, so from year to year, he changes things. So give an example, in 2010, we had an older team, super high basketball IQ. And so, in defenses, we had multiple different coverages, everything was bigs call it out, guards listen and do what they say. So a bunch of different plays, we had, a whole massive playbook of plays that we could draw from. And it was just because, we had a bunch of older guys and, even the younger guys, were pretty high IQ. And, but then, the next year or, the year after that, when you got a lot of younger guys coming in, you got to change things. Sometimes you got to simplify things because, guys aren't used to hearing, hey, we're going to blue this, we're going to red this, we're going to black this. So, keep things, we keep things simple for a team full of young guys. Whereas, then when you get a bunch of older guys, it changes things around a little bit. So, I think that's something that he's great at and what makes him transcendent to the point where he can win, for 40 years. He can win in the 90s, he can win 2000, he can win 2010s because he's willing to adjust.
Man, absolutely, man. You're right. He's changed every decade. A lot of coaches in the history of coaching have ended up getting phased out because they don't change with the time. They end up getting fired because, you're too old school. You ain't changing with the time. You got to go.
Absolutely.
But coach is definitely, he changes. And one thing, when I think about coaching, he coaches every team differently. Like you said, he looks at the personnel and he says, okay, what can I run with this team? Now the plays might be similar, but there's going to be some type of wrinkle that's different that fits that team. And that's to me what separates him from a lot of other GOAT coaches in college basketball, and we look across the board in college. There's system coaches, but there's system coaches. If you're a system coach, you're running the same thing every single year. Are you really coaching? Or are you just recruiting a player that fits your system?
Yeah, and you're just plugging a guy in.
Plug a guy in. No, Coach K, he's adjusting by the roster, by who's coming in and fitting to that player.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes him special, is his ability to adapt every single year.
Yeah. Because even if you look at 2010 to 2011, we obviously had some similar guys. We had a decent amount of turnover, but the offense was completely different. 2010 was a lot of motion stuff, a lot of guys were just running off screens, and it was whoever, somebody's gonna get a shot. It didn't really matter. It was gonna be you, it was gonna be John, it was gonna be Kyle. Someone's gonna get a shot somewhere.
Yep.
And you go to 2011, and we got two dynamo guys in pick and roll, and you and Kyrie, we're gonna be running pick and rolls because we got two guys that can manipulate the hell out of a pick and roll, and we're a little bit deeper, so we're gonna be pressing. In 2010, we got 5 guys playing 35 minutes. We're gonna be back playing half court man to man. So yeah, even just those two teams that had a bunch of turnover played completely different brands of basketball.
1 year apart, you had to change. Matter of fact, you win a championship and change.
Yeah.
Most coaches and most people be like, oh, how do you change your offense after winning a championship? Why didn't you just do what you just did? You just won.
Mm-hmm.
But that wouldn't have worked for us in 2011 like it did in 2010. So you make the adjustment.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think what separates a lot of coaches, man, is because obviously, coach has an ego. He can have an ego. He's got more than enough reason to have an ego about himself, but it's also not having too much ego to not say, let's do something different. Yep. It's not going to work the same. And I think that's the difference between him and a lot of coaches is nope, I'm gonna keep doing my thing. My thing works. I'm gonna do it. Y'all are gonna figure it out.
Yep. Yep.
And doesn't end up working for everybody. So you were there, when you had that giant freshman class come in a couple years ago, with Zion, RJ, Cam, and Trey. You got to give me the best Zion story.
Best Zion story. Ooh. There's so many. Let me think of one. First, I'll just speak on him while thinking of a real good story. The dude was special because of his personality.
Yeah.
To have a guy like that throw himself into Duke, even though he knows he's only going to be at our school for 8 months, like he embodied everything about our culture and about the school that was special for a guy like him. And every single day, and I'll just say this, he was probably the only person I've seen in history throw jokes back at Coach K. Like, I think that was the funniest thing to me, because he would almost mock Coach in a funny way that almost had Coach kind of like,
yeah, you're not used to that.
right? But he was so just confident about himself that he could do that. And I think the best thing he did, and I'm sure you saw it on Duke Blue Planet, was what he did with I think at this time was Buck a freshman or sophomore, but might have been a sophomore. But bringing him in, he wouldn't start his interviews until Michael Buckner was sitting beside him. Like, I used to always think that was hilarious, but like super dope on his part, because he would literally sit down. I would be getting ready to leave the locker room as media was coming in, and you'd hear Zion's voice. Where's Michael Buckmeyer? Where's Michael? Hold on. He would tell me to hold on. Don't ask me questions. Hold on. Michael Buckmeyer, get over here. Like, and the media would just be like, like, what's going on? And then Buckmeyer sits down beside him and they start the interviews. That was special.
Yeah. What was so cool just watching from afar with him was just he was just having so much fun just playing basketball. And you see it a decent amount, with the one and done guys, it's already a job for them. And, they're already like, in job mode. But he was just a kid playing basketball, which was like the coolest thing to me.
Yeah.
And he was, he had the biggest smile on his face, and he's just, running, and, he's this giant kid having fun playing basketball. I just always thought that was super cool. It's funny, man, because that year I got lucky enough to go down and see you guys play the first 2 rounds in Columbia, and came out to practice for the game, and walked in, and I knew he was big, but like he's like big, and I was like, good gracious, it's completely different when you see like you watch him on TV and you're like, okay, like, yeah, like he's a big dude, but then you see him in person, and like, good grief, dude, because he had, I was talking to Coach Will about him, and Coach Will was like, and Coach Will's a big dude, and Coach Will talking about some of the stuff he does in the weight room, just naturally, and how he had to adjust. He was telling me he had to adjust his strength program, because he was like, man, if we had him on a normal strength routine, he would just gain muscle like that. And so, he's really like a one of a kind human, which is nuts. You don't see very often.
He really is.
Now I know you had a hand in those couple of the jerseys from last year. Like, what was that like? Was that you coming off the top of the head, like, hey, you want me to do these jerseys, or was it like just kind of a collaborative process? What was that like?
Yeah, it was Dave Bradley and myself, obviously DB being the the guru of social media for us, and
Go.
all the behind the scenes stuff. Me and him were just sitting in the office about 4 years ago, because it took Nike, because we said DB and I were like, look, we want to revamp our jersey and go back to the old school look with the blue down the side like our uniforms were. I was like, oh, it's time to go back to that. I mean, I know a lot of people like the Rio jerseys with the white lettering that 2015 wore. Like those are cool. I said, let's go back to the old school look. So we did that, and then while we're sitting, we pulled out all the Nike NBA jerseys, NFL jerseys, hockey jerseys. We started pulling up West Point jerseys of Coach K, and we started just brainstorming. We had papers laid out all over the floor, and we started looking, and then we just came up. We're like, man, we got to do something for the brotherhood. We got to do something for Coach K. So then that's how we the gray Coach K jersey. If you look at the West Point jersey, that's where we kind of got the inspiration for that one. And then we threw in the gold for all of Coach K's gold medals, and then you have the blue for Duke. So the gray for West Point, the gold for gold medals, and the blue for Duke. That's how we came up with those colors, and that came together real nice. And then the Brotherhood one, we just started thinking about, what is the Brotherhood about? Well, it's about Duke. First and foremost, we all went to this school. We love this school, so how can we honor Duke and the Brotherhood? So that's how we came up with the navy colorway, which is an old school Duke color, and with the Gothic script, with the Brotherhood on the belt. And Nike said, "Let's do it." And it took them. It was a 3-year process before we rolled them out. So we were just patiently waiting for them to send us the jerseys. And when they came in, we were very excited. And obviously, Coach saw them. Miss K had her hand in it. Everybody, was a huge part in it behind the scenes. We had some other ideas that were probably for DB and I. They were probably on the louder side. We had looked at the Orlando Magic pinstripe.
Oh, okay.
Those jerseys, the Chicago Bulls pinstripes, like those jerseys are all time classics. So we had looked at that. Some thought it was a little bit too loud. So the Brotherhood Navy one was a nice classic, clean look. And I'll go ahead and let you know now, the white one is coming.
Hey, you heard it here first, baby.
I'll give my.
I honestly was about to ask you. Yeah, I know. First episode, we getting exclusive already. See, I was always partial to the blacks. I love the blacks, just cause. And then the Brotherhood ones came out, and those kind of jumped up the list real quick. Cause, like you said, they're super clean. Not a whole lot going on, but like I like that old Duke blue. People don't really know about. A lot of stuff around campus is that color blue, and the lettering I think is super dope because you see it all around campus. So it's kind of like, you got the Brotherhood, but then you also kind of put campus into the jersey, and I mean I love them.
Yeah.
Some people.
The cool thing about it too, when we first wore them, like everybody around, just the branding and everything, the branding team and people in the program, how they changed how Cameron looked. So they changed the nameplate up in the top corner to where it was the same exact lettering. So it was a cool feel when we rolled those out for that first home game.
Yeah, that's dope. All right, so going into this year, I mean, what's this team look like? What are we in store for?
Yeah, this year's team's exciting. It's going to be, guard-driven team right now. Our guard play has been very dominant, from Wendell Moore taking a big jump. Then you have the guards coming in, Jeremy Roach, Joey Baker back, DJ Stewart, Jordan Goldwire. And then you throw all those guards in, and you have Matt Hurt, who's taking a big jump in strength-wise and shooting. He's overall just taking a big jump. So excited to see all of them hit the court together. But then we also have great guys right there with them as from a competitive standpoint. And Henry Coleman, Mark Williams, Jamin Brakefield, all the guys. I mean, we feel like we have 11 guys that could get into a game and give you something, including Patrick Tape, transfer from Columbia as an older guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's been an older guy. He's been exactly what you expect from an old man, coming in as a freshman. He's been old. He's been talking. He knows how to play defense, and we needed that with so many young guys on this team. So we're excited about all of them, but definitely excited about those two sophomores coming back. Obviously we had high expectations coming in, had their ups and downs as freshmen, but there's nothing like learning from your freshman year and coming back for more. You have that chip on your shoulder, kind of like what we talked about earlier. But for them, they didn't even get to play in the NCAA tournament. I think a lot of people are gonna have that chip on your shoulder from not being able to play in it. But they're gonna have some extra motivation to their season.
Yeah. Who's kind of stepped up as leaders? I mean, y'all have a team captain already. Who are you guys looking for to kind of lead this team into this year?
Yeah, no team captain, but we have 4 guys that have been doing an amazing job of just leading and knowing what we expect of the team and from this program. And that's Jordan Goldwire as a senior, Joey Baker as a junior, and then Matthew Hurt and Wendell Moore. So all 4 of those guys have been talked to as people in leadership positions, and they've been doing that at a very good level to this point.
Yeah. Freshman wise, I mean, I know it's a big class coming in, very talented class. I mean, has anything surprised you, about this crew, with their development being a little bit further along than you would have expected at this point?
Yeah, I think the one guy that I didn't speak on yet is Jalen Johnson. He's a freak athlete, but he came in and needed to be coached. He was talented, but you could tell he had a lot of learning to do. And in a very short time, he's taken a big jump. And that sums up all the freshmen in one. They've all came in and been hungry to learn, hungry to work, and they've all been an absolute joy to work with every single day. They come in with the same energy, even during this crazy time. We're telling them to put their mask on every 5 minutes or whatever. Like all these rules that they've been under, like it's been like no team has ever gone through anything like this. So for this team to be as disciplined as they've been during this time and still come to work every single day, every practice with the energy and passion to get better, that excites us about them. And we know that the future for all of them is bright. If they keep that same hunger and energy. Yeah.
It's kind of something like I speculate all the time when looking at the roster every year. I'm like, can we get to 9-10 deep in this one? But this seems like you guys really feel like this could be a year where, you can get a bit deeper into the bench and maybe use your depth as a weapon against teams to, push pace and just, make teams tired. Is that something y'all feel like is possible this year?
Absolutely. As talented as we are, we're not top heavy like we've been in past years. And that's not to slight any of the guys that we have, but there's not a Zion Williamson or RJ Barrett sitting as the top 2.
Right.
That's just a fact. So if all the guys bring their energy and bring the intangible they can bring to the table, we definitely think that all of the guys that are scholarship have a chance to play. And as long as they continue to grow and head in a positive direction as they're heading right now, they're going to be on the court. We're going to try and find a way to get them on the court.
Yeah. Now, obviously, this year is very different, with the pandemic and everything. I mean, I saw it was announced that Cameron's not going to have any fans this year. I mean, do you have any, idea what that's going to feel like? I mean, obviously, we've never been in empty Cameron playing a game that meant anything. I mean, we play some games that meant something between us, but not nationally televised games. I mean, do you have any idea what that's going to feel like? Is that going to be weird? Like,
Yeah, I think overall it is going to be weird to play basketball with no fans. I mean, just saying that is weird.
Yeah.
Just saying that. I mean, we've all been playing basketball our whole lives and been in gyms, and even from 8 and under basketball, we had fans.
Yeah, for sure.
We always had fans. So now to come into Cameron Indoor Stadium, one of the best basketball venues in all of basketball, and not see the Cameron Crazies, it's going to be completely different. And we don't know yet the impact that's going to have on opponents. We don't know the impact that's going to have on us. We do know we are doing the best to create an environment that's going to be pretty cool. It's going to look cool, and it's going to be something that's not cutouts, placed in the crazy. It's going to be these virtual boards that you'll actually see some live look of Cameron Crazies, as if they were there. But with all that being said, as a player and as a human being, you look over there, that's not real. It's not gonna fool anybody.
Right.
It's gonna look great. So we just hope at the end of the day, our players are gonna have to bring the energy. They're gonna have to bring the fight, and they're gonna have to attack the opponents when they come in. I do think at the end of the day, for an opponent, you're still coming into Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Absolutely.
You're still going to look up there and see the banners. You're still going to look down that sideline and see Coach K. So there's still going to be that nervous factor that I think all opponents have when they are trying to impress a Coach K, beat a Duke in Cameron. Noise going to be there? Probably not, but it's still Cameron Indoor.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this year. I think I'm a little biased, obviously, but I think we're getting a little disrespected, a little overlooked, coming in at number 9, I think, in the AP poll or something like that. Mm-hmm. But that's why you play the games. It's all good. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm very excited to see you guys play this year. And
we got overlooked in 2010. So.
Oh, absolutely. We got disrespected real bad in 2010. But shout out to them, man. You gave us plenty of bulletin board material to talk about. And, coach don't play the disrespect at all. Quick story, man. We were playing at Florida State, I think my junior year. And they were, Florida State's always really good. Mm-hmm. And before the game, they had somebody, I don't know if it was a security guard or what, come over to coach and tell him, after Florida State wins, you guys can exit over here. We came in one way. They're like, you guys are going to leave over here because they're going to storm the court. And boy, he was not having that. So needless to say, we did not lose that game. And we walked out the same door we walked in. So yeah, it's all good. We'll take the disrespect. And
people are bold to have similar stories. So now in my role, a lot of people, security or opposing team ops guy or whoever, they'll come to me and tell me something similar to that. And I looked at one dude and I said, first of all, I'm not telling my head coach what you just said. You don't get out my face.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right, no, I know Coach ain't take that well.
Nah, not at all. He was. I honestly don't even know if he went over the scout. He goes over the scout or whatever before we head out. I don't even know if he went over like matchups or anything like that because at that point it didn't matter. And by the time he finished, we was all ready to run through a wall, and we got them up out of there. And walked out the same joint we walked in. Yeah, ain't no court storming unless y'all court storm for losses too. So yeah, I mean, I know I've seen social media you do a lot of community engagement in Durham and things like that. I mean, what makes that important to you, and why is that such a high priority for you?
Yep. So community service to me has always been very important. It's always been something that, has been instilled in me since a young age that, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. As I've always loved that quote. And during this time in America, um, if you have a platform, I feel like there's no way you can sit in silence or sit behind your desk or behind your job and not speak out for your people, for your student athletes that have to deal with some of the stuff that has happened in America, from police brutality to systemic racism to everything. So for me in this position, I just felt like it was only right for me to speak up. And I've been fortunate to be at a place that I've had nothing but support and backing from Coach K, from Dr. White to President Price. The whole campus of Duke University has been just amazing, and what they've been telling me to do, and what they've been telling me to do is keep going. They've loved that. They've loved absolutely every single thing I've said and everything I've done. So it's been an absolute honor to be able to do it. And like I've said in one of the protests, it can't be a moment, it's a movement.
Yeah.
In the movement on campus, from other sports teams to the university side, our campus is striving to be better, when it comes to racism. And, hopefully our country can get there as well.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that's been one of the coolest things in seeing what you're doing is, it's not just you, you're back, coach is right there with you. Like you said, Dr. White is right there with you in a time where a lot of people are, being pretty conservative with their messages and things like that. I think Duke has been out front and, being real and saying what needs to be said. And, makes me proud as an alum, to see them not just allowing you to do, what you've been doing, but being right there with you and, locking arms with you and walking forward with you, man. And it's been super dope to see. Now, I think it was just in October you won the Tar Heel of the Month award. I mean, it's dope, but can we change the name? What's up with that?
Hey, Coach and I fought hard to change the name, but apparently, I guess it's crazy. I guess it's something that's been going on for a long time here in North Carolina, where that's the name. So we're just like, I mean, I guess we'll accept the award. If they mail me something, a plaque or something, I don't know. They said something might be coming in the mail. I might take it to the store and get Blue Devil put on.
Yeah. There you go. There we go.
But it's all of this has been an absolute honor, and just to to be out here doing the work and being about action it's been humbling. The mayor of Durham has been amazing. He's a Duke grad. So to be out here on the front lines with just good people, good men, everyone spreading the message of love and change in our communities, that's what it's all about. So it's been a blessing, man.
Yeah. So for anybody listening, is there anything anywhere they can go to help or anything like that?
Nah, right now, I mean, we haven't really set up anything like that. But I mean, if you are in Durham, North Carolina, when COVID is over, be on the lookout just for more events and more, community engagement events, bringing people together. That's one thing I'd say. COVID's definitely slowed up a lot of the work.
For sure.
It's been crazy to work through it, but we've still been doing it, which has been a mission of ours, not to let anything get in our way, not let anything be an excuse. There's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time for today. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being the first guest. We'll definitely have you on again at some point. But that's all I got from you today. Again, thank you, Nolan, for joining us. We'll see you next week, Duke fans.
I appreciate you having me on, brother.